D'Amato once told him your greatest asset can become your greatest weakness.
In 2003, Mike Tyson filed for bankruptcy. And that's crazy when you realize this is a man who earned hundreds of millions of dollars during his career. Think about that for a second. How does someone make that much money and still end up broke? And honestly, that raises a much bigger question, because most people spend their entire lives chasing money. They work for it, stress over it, sacrifice time, energy, and peace just to get more of it. But if so many people are struggling even after earning more, then maybe the real problem isn't just making money. Maybe the real problem is that most people were never taught how to understand it. And that's exactly where things start to fall apart. Because the truth is, a lot of people don't have a money problem. They have a relationship problem. A relationship with money that quietly keeps them stuck, working harder, spending faster, and wondering why nothing ever changes. And if you don't fix that relationship first, it won't matter how much you make. You can earn more, work longer, even level up your income, and still somehow end up in the exact same place. So in this video, I want to break down why so many people stay trapped in the rat race, why earning more doesn't automatically make you financially free, and the one mindset shift that can completely change how you deal with money. Because this is the part school never really taught us. Let's start with a very basic question. What is money? Most people would say money is just something we use to buy things, and technically that's true. Money is a tool, a medium of exchange. You work, you get paid. You want something, you spend. Simple. But that definition doesn't really explain why money has such a powerful hold over people's lives. Because money isn't just paper or numbers in a bank account. Money is really a representation of value. That's the important part. When you pay for something, you're saying, I believe this thing is worth this amount of my money. And when someone pays you for your work, what they're really saying is, your time, your skill, or your effort created value. That's all money is. It's value translated into numbers. And once you understand that, your entire view of money starts to change. Because a lot of people grow up seeing money as something negative. You've probably heard phrases like, money is the root of all evil. Rich people are greedy. You can't make a lot of money without screwing people over. And sure, there are people who scam, manipulate, or exploit others for money. But that says more about their character than it does about money itself. Money doesn't make someone good or bad. It just gives them more options. It amplifies who they already are. So, if money is simply a reflection of value, then the real question becomes, why do so many people keep earning money, but never seem to keep it? That's where the real issue begins. Most people think the answer to financial stress is simple. I just need to make more money. And sometimes, yes, that's true, but not always. Because if making more money automatically solved financial problems, then people with high salaries would all be financially secure. But they're not. There are people making decent money, good money, even 6 figures, and they're still broke. Why? Because money isn't just about how much comes in. It's about what happens after it comes in. And this is where most people miss the bigger picture. Your financial life is basically controlled by 2 things: what you produce and what you consume. That's it. Money enters your life because you produced something valuable. Usually that's through work, a job, a service, a skill, a business. And money leaves your life when you consume something: food, rent, subscriptions, shoes, a new phone, a car, a lifestyle. So if you really want to understand your money problems, ask yourself this: Is my life being shaped more by production or by consumption? Because for most people, the biggest leak isn't income, it's consumption. Not because they're irresponsible or bad with money by default, but because modern life is literally designed to make you spend. Everywhere you look, something is trying to convince you that your life needs an upgrade. A better phone, a nicer car, a bigger apartment, a more expensive version of yourself. And if you're not careful, you start building a lifestyle that expands just as fast as your income. So even when you earn more, you never actually feel richer. That's the trap. And that trap is what most people call the rat race. A lot of people talk about the rat race like it's just having a 9-to-5, but honestly, I think that's way too simplistic. Because having a job is not the problem. There are plenty of people who like their jobs, people who find purpose in what they do, people who are perfectly okay working a stable career. That's not the issue. The real rat race is something deeper than that. The real rat race is when your life becomes financially fragile. It's when you're living so close to the edge that one bad month could throw everything off. It's being one paycheck away from panic. It's the feeling that no matter how much money comes in, it disappears almost immediately. And the dangerous part is, once you get stuck in that cycle, your choices stop feeling like choices. Your job isn't something you do because you want to. It becomes something you must do because your lifestyle depends on it. Your debt depends on it. Your bills depend on it. Your image depends on it. And suddenly, your life is no longer being driven by freedom. It's being driven by maintenance. You're not building. You're just surviving. And that's exhausting. Because the more your life is built around keeping up appearances, keeping up payments, and keeping up with everyone else, the less room you have to actually build something meaningful. That's the real cost. Not just financial, mental, emotional, psychological. Because being trapped financially doesn't just affect your bank account. Sometimes we buy things because we're stressed. Sometimes because we're bored. Sometimes because we want to reward ourselves. And a lot of the time, because we want to feel like we're doing okay. That's why some people spend money they don't really have, to buy things they don't really need, to impress people they don't even truly care about. And social media made this 10 times worse. Because now you're not just comparing yourself to your neighbors, you're comparing yourself to the entire internet. People your age buying cars, traveling, wearing designer, posting wins, showing success. And even if you logically know that a lot of it is curated, filtered, or fake, emotionally, it still gets to you. You still feel behind. And when you feel behind, you're more likely to spend emotionally just to feel caught up. That's how people stay broke without even realizing why. Not because they're lazy, not because they're stupid, but because they're constantly being pulled by short-term desire. And if you don't become aware of that, your money will always disappear into impulse. So how do you actually break out of this? You start with something incredibly boring, but incredibly powerful. Awareness. Before you can improve your finances, you need to be brutally honest about what's actually happening. Where is your money going? Not where you think it's going. Where is it actually going? Because a lot of people avoid this part. They don't want to look at the numbers. They don't want to check the account. They don't want to calculate how much they've wasted this month. And I get it. It's uncomfortable. But avoiding the truth doesn't make it disappear. It just keeps you blind. So the first real step is simple. Track your spending. Write it down. Housing, transport, food, subscriptions, shopping, entertainment, random expenses, everything. Because once you can clearly see your habits, you can finally start changing them. And this is where budgeting becomes powerful. If you made it all the way to the end, hopefully this video gave you a new way to think about money. Because once you stop seeing money as just something to chase and start seeing it as something to understand, you make better decisions. And better decisions, repeated over time, can completely change your life.